An enthusiastic educator since 22 years, she has grown from a primary section teacher to a leader. The great mentors warmly welcome Ms. Preeti Pasricha, founder and CEO at Eyes Enlighten Yourself every session. The secret of her career graph is her strong quest of knowledge, a strong urge of spreading the knowledge and touching as many lives as possible through education. Apart from being an educational thought leader, she is also a mentor and speaker addressing different topics on parenting, leadership and pedagogy and soft skills. She was interviewed by the India School News magazine for the year 2020 about strategies that should be adopted in a school by all the teachers. She has also written a book named Preeti's Perfect Tips and Mastery 11 Superior Tips to be on top at the workplace during a pandemic. Considering the dynamics involved in personal and professional life of every individual, she immensely believes in a need to inculcate clarity, empathy and insight for success in all endeavors. Considering the dynamics involved in personal and professional life of every individual, she immensely believes in a need to inculcate clarity, empathy and insight for success in all endeavors, which subsequently backed her to commence conducting workshops and courses at different platforms. Her achievements are Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Best Mentor Award, Maruti Art Academy bestowed her with Award of Honor in 2019. Received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award of Honor, honored with Acharya Vinoba Bhavi Shikshak Samman 2020, honored with Jagatguru Sri Krishna Samman 2020.
Hello friends, an enthusiastic educator since 22 years, she has grown from a primary section teacher to a leader. The secret of her career graph is a strong quest of knowledge, a strong urge of spreading the knowledge and touching as many lives as possible through education. Apart from being an educational thought leader, she is also a mentor and a speaker addressing different topics on parenting, leadership, and pedagogy and soft skills. On behalf of the great mentors, me, Sushil Sinha, warmly welcome Preeti Pasricha ma'am for today's talk show session. Thanks ma'am for giving your valuable time and being with us. Thank a lot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha, for inviting me on the platform of great mentors. It's indeed a privilege to be here on this platform.
Thank you, ma'am. First, we would like to go through your career or professional journey up to this time.
Sure, I started my career actually at a very early age when I was 16 years of. When I was 16 years, I started working with a CA. That was just a part-time job for a few hours so that I could pay my fees and my sister's fees. So that was a part-time job. I used to work there for 3 to 4 hours and then go to college, classes, cook at home, and then again the routine cycle used to go just like this. After this, working for 6 to 8 months with a CA, then I started, I'll tell you a very interesting anecdote of my life. I will say maybe 30 years ago, there was every Wednesday, there was a newspaper that used to come, that was Employment News. Only every Wednesday. Even today, when we see in Times of India, every Wednesday, there are classified ads where you get to see the recruiters, they want to appoint. So these classifieds mainly come on every Wednesday. So there was specially assigned paper for these recruitments on Wednesday, Employment News. So I went to the Raddiwala, and that was a Friday when I had gone to Raddiwala. I asked him to give me the paper of 2 days before. That was Employment News of 2 days before. He gave it to me in just 10 paisa. I just circled few companies where I can call and I can maybe get shortlisted for the interview. I just sat there outside the Raddiwala shop and circled few companies. And from there directly, I had gone to a PCO. I called one company that was Power Master Engineers Private Limited. It is based in Lower Parel. I called that office. They called me for interview. I was selected. I was then 18 years of age. I used to go to SIS college, that is Sion, at Sion. So I was selected and I used to wake up early in the morning, catch up my train, college. And then from college, I used to reach office from Sion to Lower Parel. And that is how my journey began. I actually started with a corporate office. That was before marriage. After marriage, my teaching career started after my marriage. That was when I had children. I chose up doing a freelancing job in a coaching classes where I used to teach BMS and HM students for their entrance exams. From there, since I wanted a part-time job, then slowly, gradually, I moved into school for teaching math, thrice in a week and then 5 days in a week. So I just joined as a primary section teacher, and I don't know how the responsibilities came on my shoulders, how I was recognized for my leadership skills, and all this just came upon me only because of the mentors and the guides that I had during that time in my school. They recognized my capabilities and shouldered responsibilities on me, and here I am working as an academic coordinator since last 20 years.
Very interesting kind of journey you have in your professional life. One thing is said now, where there is the will, there is the way.
Correct.
You diverted your professional journey from being a corporate to this education sector. In many of the cases, several people they divert their journey like a way. But it's a great thing you have achieved such a great things in such a short interval of time, and hope you will be going ahead. You have much to go ahead. From our best wishes are there for you. Thank you, ma'am. You are more focused to this experiential learning. Can you elaborate on that part, please?
Sure. To elaborate on what is experiential learning all about. Now we are living in 21st century. We are living in 2022 will start very soon in few days. So we are in the millennium age of this 2000 and years ahead. But before explaining what is experiential learning, I will take you to the age in 1970s where I was born. I don't know about you. So I will take you in the age of 70s where safety was self-taught. Not like nowadays where we keep on guiding and hovering our children that don't do this, don't touch there, you might get hurt, be safe. But in mid 70s, the era in which I was born, safety was actually self-taught. That was what experiential learning was all about. So it has come from there, from the era when I was born. It has been in me since then. Now, if I tell you, like when I will again share a small story. There was a small girl who was watching someone doing something in her home. Now, as I said, in that era, you used to watch someone doing something, and then you used to start doing it, thinking that even you will know how to do it now. Actually, that was learning by doing. So, as I was saying about a story about a small girl. So this girl, now I will tell you later on why I'm telling you this story. But then this girl had a carpenter at home, and this carpenter was given instructions by her dad that the furniture should be customized. Nowadays, we go to such big shops, furniture shops, and ask them to make furniture customized as per our choice, as per the colors we want, as per the theme of the room that we want. But then this girl also saw the same thing when she was small, that the furniture was getting customized, the choices were being applied every day. And in fact, this girl used to watch this carpenters for hours and hours and just watch him and see like how is he doing, how is he using all safety measures or precautionary measures. And then since the work of the carpenters went on for days and days, so these carpenters used to keep their toolkit, their devices in the corner, and they used to leave so that they come back on the another day. So what this girl used to do is she used to call her friends, and they used to start using those tools and make something out of it. So one day what they made is, I don't know whether you have seen or not, Mr. Sinha, but there is a small toy where you can, pass something around, and if you touch the bar, that means you're out. There's a light that suddenly glows up and that shows that you're out. Nowadays, children have these video games and all, but then these were the things that this girl used to do after that carpenter left with her friends. She also made a small toy kind of device, and they made a skill tester kind of a thing where they used to pass through the tester, and if it lights up, that means if that ring lights up, that means the person is out. And then they went on to level 1 and level 2 and level 3 and so on. This girl used to enjoy a lot while making the tools while making devices out of the tools that the carpenter has left there. So now, before going ahead, why I'm sharing this story is that the little girl I'm talking about is me, whom you're talking to right now. So this was when the experiential learning came into me. when I realized that you need not be taught everything to learn something. You can self-acquire only if you are self-observant, only if you allow yourself to take risks. Those things which I learned by myself, those things which I learned by experience still are there in me. I can very easily pass on those things ahead. So that is what experiential learning came in, I would say. Like again, nowadays, people hardly even read physical books. We children have so many things at their home. They have so many I things, especially just like iPhone, iTabs, iPads, iPods, and again many e things as well. We have this e-banking, e-books, e-copies. That's why we rarely read these physical books in our hand. So like in those days, again, music was not easy. You had to listen to those small audio cassettes, and then CDs came in, and then DVDs came in. We used to get all the information only and only from our parents, from teachers, and from friends. But nowadays, again, information is very easily available. So this easy thing that has come in is what, I will not say destroying, but yes, it is hampering the thinking of an individual. Children are not allowed to do things by their own, but I know I have actually experienced the happiness of creating things by my own, by making things, by understanding things. So that is what I truly believe experiential learning in, that unless you don't do things, unless you don't make things, unless you don't create things, unless you don't allow your thought process to work, you will never ever succeed. So to succeed in your life, you need to pass on experiential learning to children, so that they shoulder the responsibilities of maybe things working out in a certain manner or not working out. They should find out solutions. Why are the things not working out in a certain way? Rather than just getting easy solutions and then working on the particular any methods that is given, make your own methods. Choose your own methods to see success in life. That is how I truly believe experiential learning in, and we are doing the same thing in our school. We teach our learners only through experiential learning.
I got that. Yeah, the girl you are talking about, yourself only.
Okay.
You are telling your
Okay.
own story because the enthusiasm I have observed about you, the enthusiasm you reflect, that's and the energy level, of course, that's very
Okay.
different. So of course you are a self learner that uh, anyone can rely on that very easily. Why do you think this experience learning is very important?
Why do I think experience learning is very important? Because as I said, I myself have experienced this, how it is important, why it is important. So that was only defined up to me, that I as an individual was benefited out of doing things by experience. But then, as I said, I started my teaching career after marriage. When I started passing on this teaching through experiential learning in the class, in the classrooms, and when the learners were benefited out of this, that was the day when I realized that it is not only me who was benefited, but each learner in the classroom can also be benefited if they are doing experiential learning. I will give you a small example which I did in my classroom. One day, I asked children to bring, just like a doctor does a surgery. So I asked them to bring their caps, their gloves, the scissors, and the band-aid, and pieces of papers. It was is what I provided them in the classroom. While talking about that, I asked these children to bring scissors, gloves, band-aid. Are you getting excited? Why must I told this to children? What do you
Yes, yes,
think? Why must I told this to children?
yes, 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 yes. You are going to involve them.
Yes, correct. I actually involved them. Uh, I have seen even now, even adults make make common mistakes. Like if we have to say, okay, ma'am, yes, ma'am. So instead of M-A apostrophe A-M, people just type MAM, that is ma'am for them. They don't know where to apply apostrophe. So this is what I got experiential learning in the class. I told them to bring scissors, band-aid, and their gloves. So I had yeah, for example, I had two words on a piece of paper. One was I, and the second one word was am. I am. Now I have to join these two words. I have to make it I am. So which is the word that I will be cutting? I will be cutting A, the alphabet A, and I will join it with the band-aid at the top. So it works at the apostrophe. So that is the contraction that was formed. I am. So they were good surgeons in my class. Again, if I tell you MADAM, that is madam. I want to make ma'am out of it. So you're just cutting the alphabet T, isn't it? The MA and again the AM, it still remains. So they applied band-aid on the letter, in the area portion wherever they cut the letter. And then they experienced it so beautifully that how to make contraction words, how to do this surgery. So this, again, as I said, the small anecdotes, the small examples in the daily classrooms, seeing children that how they are getting benefited out of this experiential learning gave more and more confidence in me that why experiential learning is important. Most of the times teachers think that only black and board, chalk and board method is what works. And now because everybody is online, so showing PPT and showing them videos is what it works. But it is not so. Unless children are not involved, they will not get to know that why certain things are important, what is the meaning of the certain topic. If you want to teach them, ask them to do. Don't ask them to learn. They will learn by doing for sure. They will learn by doing for sure. So better ask them to do rather than asking them to learn. Now, in my case, I have been very lucky to have had some very fascinating teachers when I was in school. I have learned a lot from them. But then at the same time, I also had some weaker teachers as well. Of course, I'm sorry, I'm saying weaker teachers. That does not mean weak as in weak teachers, but some teachers who are very good and very enthusiastic in the class, and some teachers who are not that into in the class. But again, I learned from those teachers as well. Now, you know why? Because from those teachers, I'm naming them as weak teachers, I learned from them was like how not to teach. What is it that will not excite your learners? So how not to teach is what I learned from those teachers. Again, that was experience that I gained in the classrooms. So how I gained this experiences, I was observant. So I want all the learners of this century to be self-observant, to experience by themselves. Now, you should know, if you don't know how not to teach, you will not know how to teach. So that is why for the experiential learning to happen in the class, as a teacher, you should know how not to teach. Only then you will know how to teach. And to know how to teach, you need to make these learners do things. Because as and when, the more you do experiential learning in the class, the more the learners will be benefited. The learning will sustain in their brains for much longer. They will be able to apply their learnings. They will be able to relate these learnings in the classrooms with their life in day-to-day lives. They will take the learnings from non-relatable to relatable. They themselves will do the rest. You just have to apply experiential learning in the class through 4 stages. Basically, that is experiencing. They have to experience whatever they're doing in the class. Then they have to reflect upon it. Whatever they have learned, whether the method worked or not. If not, then what should be another steps they should take ahead. Then they have to think after reflecting, and then they have to act. So the 4 stages, what you have to apply, and you as a teacher will be benefited, and even the learners are experiencing, reflecting, thinking, and acting. It definitely engages the learners, and it also lays down the historical foundation. So to lay down that historical foundation, you need to make the learners do things. Now, as an educator, to impress learners with your knowledge so that they express their knowledge with confidence. So you need to impress learners with your knowledge. You need to make them to do things. You need to make them you need to make them feel involved. Only then they will be able to express things with confidence. So allow them to do so. Allow them to reflect on the situation. Allow the learners to make stuck to the problem. Allow the learners to give solutions to the problems. Actually, learning is an endless recurring cycle. And it's just not a linear process. It's not a straight line, but it's a recurring process. And the brain is built for experiential learning. So that is why, which is why experiential learning is important.
Great. You really did great in this experiential learning. And of course, more and more senses involved by the students, then more they learn. So it is very much required that how much we are going to involve these students in classroom, not only in classroom, even in when they are going home, what kind of homework they are being given is
Right.
very important. And I think it's a part of STEM right now, what CBSE has recommended in their
Right.
NEP and all. And a lot of schools are taking steps ahead in implementing STEM. Now it's going to be STEM. In,
Right. Right.
in fact, we are also conducting a series of panel discussion on this STEM. 3 has already been done, and we have planned for the 10.
Okay. Wow. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. I think it's a part of that. Experiential learning is, of course, it's implementation of STEM.
Right. Right. It's definitely.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And what are the challenges in implementing this experiential learning?
The challenges in implementing experiential learning are the teachers most of the times think they require many resources to do this experiential learning, and all these resources will not be approved by the heads of the school, but actually don't require any resources, I would say. It's just your thought process need to be changed. You need to come out from the blackboard to the actual learning in the classrooms to happen. टीचर्स को ऐसे लगता है बहुत बार कि they will require many resources to carry out experiential learning. Now, as I said, I did this contraction surgery. It was the learners that they got things in the class. When we were small, we were asked to write a biography about Mahatma Gandhi, about Indira Gandhi. Then what we used to do is we used to read 10 times from the Renan Martin books, or not Renan Martin, that was a grammar, but then from composition books. We didn't have Google at that time. So we used to read twice, thrice, 8 to 10 times, and then we used to write by ourselves. I am again sharing a small example. If you want to carry out experiential learning for how to write a biography, when I was doing this in my classroom, what I did is the school is closed. Once the children are in, they're totally our responsibility. So I asked them to move out in the school. I asked them to meet different staff members, different teachers, different ancillary staff, all of them, and talk to them. Ask them questions about their life, just like how you are asking to me right now. I told them to ask questions about their lives and come back in the classrooms and write about their lives. So they didn't even realize that they're writing a biography on the person whom they spoke to. So this was experiential learning. Did we require any resource for this? Nothing. It was just teaching beyond walls, classroom beyond walls. So this is what experiential learning is. Teachers think that resources is the biggest challenge to carry out experiential learning, but the biggest challenge of experiential learning is that you are not thinking out of the box as a teacher. You need to think that what maximum you can do without using any resources. You can ask learners to reflect once they come in the classroom, that what did they do, what happened, what was the most difficult, what was the most easiest, and then they need to come and process their thoughts when they are sent beyond the classroom, outside the classrooms, beyond walls, to learn anything. It is not only for biography that they can be sent, even to learn how plants grow, they can be sent into the school campus. Like anything, how things are sold and bought, they can be sent into the school cafeteria. They can learn money exchange there. There are various things required without resources. As teachers think that this is the biggest challenge that they face, they can come in the classrooms and they process their experience by thinking like what was important. They can discuss and analyze, they can reflect, they can look at the experiences, they can discuss how the experience was carried out, they can discuss the problems and the issues when they were outside the classrooms. And when they come in the classrooms, they can also discuss how specific problems can or issues can be addressed. They can discuss their personal experiences, they can encourage each other to look upon these recurring experiences, and they can later at the end generalize like what did they learn from this activity, how did they benefit out of this activity. So experiential learning is very, very easy only if as a teacher you change your thought process. How many of us go to vacation and then we click photographs there, and how many of us have also seen many photographs of different places already. Like you can see on a calendar page, you can see a Switzerland scenery, you can see ice snow on the calendar page. But just looking on those photographs will not tell you what is that place about, unless you go and experience at that particular place. You go and actually understand that how the weather and the how the climate is over there, how the nature is over there. So that is what experiential learning is all about. Just showing them the videos and PPTs will not work unless they build a PPT of their own, unless they make a gallery of their own, unless they actually experience, unless they spend time doing certain things. Spending time looking at the blackboard, looking at the PPTs and videos does not work. Spending time while doing things will definitely work. So so there are no challenges. The challenges are only here in the thought processes of the teachers, that the resources are required and we will not be able to do, but it is totally incorrect. You need to reflect upon your learning. Then what experiential learning is that's what, like it remains as a long-term memory. The experiential learning definitely remains as a long-term memory. And then you also must have seen, Mr. Sinha, that lots of students keep on saying that I don't feel like going to the online classes, I feel bored, it's a boring class, I don't learn anything, it's not challenging, I go to sleep, I should not go to that class. So then I was speaking about teachers, that why experiential learning is challenging. Now I'm speaking about the learners. For the learners who get bored to join online classes, they think that there is no learning happening there, just sitting in front of the online classes. So you should go such classes and challenge the teacher. Ask questions from your teachers. Ask teachers to tell you stories. Ask teachers to do things with you. So the challenge is for teachers and for the learners as well. Teachers think that many more resources are required. Learners think that they cannot question their children. So these are the challenges from both the sides. So you need to ask questions to your teachers and make sure that as a learner, you ask good questions. Why? Because experiential education, it prepares the individuals to become lifelong learners, and it anticipates the needs of our future workforce. हम कितनी बार बोलते हैं मिस्टर सिन्हा, लाइक लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग इज कम्स फ्रॉम क्रेडल. जो बच्चा पैदा होता है हम उसको पालने में सुलाते हैं. सो फ्रॉम क्रेडल टू ग्रेव. सो जब तक इंसान पैदा हुआ है मरने तक लर्निंग रिमेन्स विद देम. बट आई वांट टू चेंज दिस. Learning is not from cradle to grave. Learning is from cradle to cradle, because you will be giving birth to another generation. Only if you change your thought process, only if you overcome all the challenges of experiential learning in your mind, so the learning will be going from cradle to cradle and cradle to cradle and ahead. Now, for example, if I have one last example, like if you don't know what questions to ask your teachers, you will not know what questions to ask from the Google. Everybody says that Google has all the answers, but then if you ask rubbish questions to Google, you will get all garbage from Google. So to understand, to get right answers from Google, you need to start asking right questions in your classrooms itself. So get experiential learning in your classrooms. As a teacher, change your thought process. As a learner, change your thought process, and both of you should cooperate in this experiential learning and see wonders happening in the classrooms.
Really great. And I hope that by your dedication in this experience learning, enthusiasm is very much required from the teacher side.
Correct.
Right. And students are always students. They have their a certain mind level. They needs always to be motivated. And these are the responsibilities of teachers, to keep them motivating, to keep their energy on the higher level, enthusiasm on the higher level, to generate curiosity in them, because students have their certain level of thinking. Beyond that, if there is no motivation, they are not going to think about. Very rare students are there, they keep themselves in their own way.
Right.
So of course, ma'am, the way you are doing the things and you are motivating the students, it's going to benefit your school students as well as the teachers. Whoever working under you, they are very lucky. They got that type of people their side. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your
Thank
valuable time, and really you focus on such a beautiful topic in such a elaborated way, and yourself has done so many experiments that may motivate and encourage students. Of course, STEM is the same. That's a part
Right.
of experience. I think experiential learning is a part of STEM, and in application of STEM, resource is not required. And in fact, there is one scheme from the government is also Atal something. I do not remember exactly the name. They used to deliver some kind of package to CBSE schools to buy the resources for the students. So of course, if students, if teachers, actually if teachers want to involve the students, resource is not going to be a bar. That is already available in their schools.
Right.
It's up to them how they want to involve.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Thank you.
giving your
Thank you,
valuable
Mr.
time and being with us. Thank
Thank
you a
you. The
lot, ma'am.
pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.